last time I was here, I couldn't tell you the news because it wasn't official, because the signature wasn't signed on the dotted line. And considering the amount of years I've been in the business, I wasn't going to do it until it was official, until he signed. Well, it's official now. Shannon Sharpe, three-time Super Bowl champion, NFL Hall of Famer, one of the greatest tight ends in the history of the National Football League. And obviously, over the previous 7 years, you've seen him on FS1 with my former partner on First Take, Mr. Skip Bayless. Shannon Sharpe is now an official member of First Take. He debuts Monday, September 4th, debating yours truly. He will be in front of me debating, whether live and in person, face to face, or via satellite, because I'm in New York and he's in LA, even though we'll both be going back and forth because I've got business in LA a lot. He's got business in New York sometimes. We'll work that out. Bottom line is that Shannon Sharpe and yours truly will be debating every Monday and Tuesday over the live airwaves of ESPN, 10 a.m. Eastern to 12 noon, obviously Eastern Standard Time on ESPN. So I'm really, really happy to have him, really proud to have him. I love athletes sitting across from me debating, particularly ones who are as accomplished as he is, who are as knowledgeable about the sport of football as he is, who is as passionate about the sport as he is, along with a plethora of other things. Make no mistake about it, we're going to bring the rain. And on that note, I want to bring up that last point that I made because it's important on a particular day like this to bring up the point that I'm trying to make. I'm seeing a lot of stories circulating. And when you have stuff that's circulating, Shannon Sharpe is coming and, they're talking about what are him and Stephen A going to do? They're just going to scream at each other all day long, blah, 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 blah. Well, I've seen plenty of times when Shannon Sharpe hasn't been screaming. I've seen plenty of times when I haven't been screaming. And I really, really could get into how much I detest, when folks take that kind of position. I remember like one of the things that I said years ago, I didn't like being called Screaming A. It's not that I don't scream. It's not that I'm not loud. It's not that I can't be bombastic and demonstrative, because I know that I can. It's just that when white folks do it, y'all call it passionate. But when the brothers do it, we screaming. I don't like that. I don't appreciate that. So on this particular day, although I'm going to be passionate and forceful, and as piercing as I want to be, I'm going to make sure I monitor my tone and my volume, so nobody can use it as an excuse to not hear where the hell I'm coming from. It doesn't mean that I'm never going to yell again. It doesn't mean that my demonstrative and bombastic tendencies ain't going to come rearing through. It's who the hell I am, and I'm not apologizing for it. And I never will. But I think it's important to bring up because it's some people in the media and beyond, people in the blogosphere trying to pass themselves off as media, along with others who quite frankly just ain't shit. It's just the truth. It's just the truth. You could call it jealousy. You could call it envy. You could call it a whole lot of things. One of the things that I religiously remind people of is that the year 2003 was when I became a general sports columnist. And according to some organizations, I was the 21st African American in this nation's history to become a general sports columnist when I was writing for the Philadelphia Inquirer. Why is that so important? Because that was before the advent of social media, before Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and all of this other stuff came to be. You had to be a columnist to have a license to editorialize and express your opinion. I told you in the year 2003, I was number 21. I was the 21st black man, black person allowed to editorialize and opine and give my opinion. Prior to that, there were only 20. Everybody else was white. I can assure you they were yelling. I'm not going to throw out names because I'm not trying to cast any aspersions on anybody because I don't think they did anything wrong by raising their voice. But nobody called them volatile. Nobody called them screaming whatever. Nobody tried to denigrate them and accuse them of dissipating and diminishing the quality of the sports industry business. But all of a sudden, Shannon Sharpe's coming to First Take. Skip Bayless and Undisputed on FS1 purportedly are going to modify their approach. I got news for you. They're the quote unquote competition. I'm here to defend them. Now, if you want to get into the literal quality and content of somebody's words, meaning what they said specifically, I get where you're coming from. You want to get on me for mistakes that I've made in the past? Fine. I've made stupid mistakes in the past. I didn't articulate and enunciate my words with the clarity that it deserved regarding Ray Rice. Shohei Ohtani, that was just an embarrassing take on my part. And I deserve to be vilified for it, because even though I meant something totally different, it's my responsibility to step up and articulate whatever message I want to disseminate in a proper fashion. You want to get on Skip Bayless for his position about Dak Prescott and mental illness, or Tim Tebow, or whatever position he took in the immediate aftermath of Damar Hamlin, that's fine. But this notion that all of a sudden the industry of sports journalism has been so sullied to the point where it's almost irreparable and it's our fault, pisses me off. It's a lie. It's not factually correct. It's utter bullshit. And to me, when I read the reports about Undisputed modifying its approach, taking a more quote unquote agreeable, I'm not saying they said it, I'm talking about to the reports, whether it's Front Office Sports or Awful Announcing or whoever the hell came up with it, because I forgot where I read it. But a couple of people wrote about it, how they're modifying their approach to some degree, and they're going to be more agreeable and all of this other stuff. The only thing that I would say about that, I'm lamenting the capitulation to the noise that's saying there was something wrong with this show. So what? Shannon and Skip were passionate. So what? I'm passionate when I was talking to Michael Irvin on Mondays, or Keyshawn on Tuesdays, or Mad Dog Russo on Wednesdays, or Dan Orlovsky on Thursdays, or Ryan Clark on Fridays, with Mina Kimes and Kimberly Martin and Monica McNutt and J.J. Redick and Kendrick Perkins and Jay Williams and all of them thrown into the mix. So what? We're talking sports. When you sit around and watch sports, or you watch a news program rather, or a particular sitcom or a drama series, do you want to take up something and throw it at the TV? Usually that's not the case. But you do want to do that when you're watching sports, because sports evokes those kind of emotions out of you. Fan. Acronym for fanatics, essentially, in a lot of people's eyes. You get passionate about the world of sports, and that's all you're doing. But these folks that have this desire and this anxiety or this anxiousness towards capitulating to that noise, nah, we're not doing that on First Take. We're going to be who we are. They ain't number one. All of these folks talking. They didn't have the number one show for the last 12 years. They haven't led in ratings. They haven't generated hundreds of millions of dollars in ad revenue. What exactly is it that we're doing that's such a crime? That we're passionate and we're a little bit loud with it? That from occasion we tend to scream? Don't we laugh? Don't we joke around? Don't we hug one another? Don't we have a good time? Is it not entertaining? The audience says so. I'm sitting here in front of y'all right now. Once again, I ain't bragging. I'm just giving you facts. We average nearly 500,000 viewers on linear television. Me, myself, one man, generates in excess of 2 billion views annually on YouTube. Go look it up. It's out there. Go get the research. And the people that's talking ain't doing that. But they're chirping about what's happened to this industry. And I'm not talking about Dan Le Batard. He's the one that did it yesterday or today or whatever. Remember, he's my boy. We're friends. We disagree on this particular issue, but he certainly ignited this discussion a couple of months ago. Remember when I appeared on the Dan Le Batard show a couple of months ago? You remember what he said while he was interviewing me back then? March 24th, 2023, I remember, if I remember correctly, I think that was the day he said it. Listen to what Le Batard says to me and what my response to him was right there on the Dan Le Batard show at that particular moment. Check it out.
I hate what you two have done to sports television.
You can say that all you want to. I would say, who the hell are you to sit up there and say me and him? What about you? Where the hell were you? Living under a rock, teaching at Miami U? You were a part of it too. You ain't innocent.
I'm talking about all the imitators that you have birthed. All of the imitators that are all over the place thinking without the journalism credentials that the point of all this is to turn it into an argument on television.
Yeah. So in other words, if somebody saw Dan Le Batard on television and they decided without the journalism credentials to imitate Dan Le Batard or to try to emulate him in some way, shape, form, or fashion, and folks didn't like it or were turned off by it, we should hate what Dan Le Batard has done to television. We should hate what Dan Le Batard has done to sports. Think I'm lying? Here's something else. This is Dan Le Batard, just in the month of July, last month, July 17th, 2023. Here's something else Le Batard said after that conversation. And this one I didn't see. My staff just showed it to me today. I actually missed this. I was on vacation. I did not see Dan Le Batard say this. Listen to this.
And I would like to talk to him in the future in a way that is conversational instead of performative about how dumb sports debate television has made everything. See, this is the thing. Stephen A. respects Skip Bayless, who's a plague, because Skip Bayless gave Stephen A. the chance that he gave Shannon Sharpe to do the thing of let's do white man, black man, and we'll do the dog whistle, and sports will get dumber, and I will spend 20 years chasing LeBron, who's only the athlete of our times, who deserves all sorts of praise. I'm going to situate myself as the hater and just get somebody loud and black across from me, and we will fight.
That is incredibly, incredibly insulting. More so to Skip Bayless. A plague. Because he wants to hate on LeBron and people debate him, and it's usually somebody black sitting across from him. Well, white people have debated Skip Bayless. They didn't rate. We are in the television business. Ratings and revenue do matter. They do count. So let's get that out of the way. Secondly, I'm not going to apologize for being somebody who appreciates the opportunity that Skip Bayless gave me because he was a white man in that position, and that was something that he didn't have to do, but he elected to have me as a debate partner. I appreciate that. And although my career has taken off, and I've been blessed and fortunate enough, knock on wood, to be number one ever since, because it can end tomorrow, I'm sorry if I'm a person that's not going to forget the opportunity that somebody gave to me when they didn't have to. That doesn't mean that I agree with everything he says. It doesn't mean I co-sign everything he says. I'm very good friends with Troy Aikman. I love this brother. I don't approve nor appreciate nor like the things that Skip Bayless has said about him in the past. I don't like most of the things that Skip Bayless said about LeBron James in the past. But that's his opinion. And everybody has one. Just like Dan Le Batard has one. Just like all of these bloggers have one. It's Awful Announcing. It's Front Office Sports. It's the Bleacher Report. I mean, the Clutch Points. And I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Deadspin, it's been around forever. I mean, the Big Lead. The list goes on and on and on. There are a lot of things to like and not like about institutions, about networks, about whatever distributors of content, about individuals, that's absolutely positively true. But it ain't the be all and end all. And the reason I bring this subject up is because over the last couple of days, all we've been reading about is how there's going to be some shift. Because, oh my God, what has happened to the world of sports journalism? Like First Take doesn't do anything. Or these other shows don't do anything. Michael Wilbon and Tony Kornheiser have been debating for years. They've gotten loud with one another. But we know what great journalists they were, what great columnists they were, and what great friends they've been for over 40 years. So they may not get labeled that way. People have insulted around the horn. That's still on the air. When Highly Questionable was on the air with Dan Le Batard and his daddy. Some people liked it, some people didn't. Outside the Lines was hosted by Bob Lee for years. The great Bob Lee, the iconic Bob Lee, the award-winning journalist that was Bob Lee. Some people liked it, some people didn't. How many stars have we seen emanate from the world of SportsCenter? They all acted like Stuart Scott? No. Were they all Dan Patrick? No. Were they all Keith Olbermann? No. Were they all Scott Van Pelt? No. It was different. Some people liked Dick Vitale. Some people couldn't stand him. Some people used to hate what Boomer, Chris Berman, used to do. Back. All of this other stuff. Some people liked it. Some people didn't think there was any place for it. Don't get me started with sports reporters. Was Mike Lupica, Bob Ryan, and Mitch Albom whispering on sports reporters? What about when Bill Rhoden and Brian Burwell, God rest his soul, used to come on there? Were they whispering? Were they whispering in your ear, Dan? Were they whispering in your ear, all of you folks out there? Well, this is how we feel about it, and I mean, hey. Were they going like Shaq? Well, you know, just told Kobe, I told Phil. Like Ari Spears, the comedian, said, Phil know how I play, Kobe know how I play. Give him the ball, I'm going to dunk it. I'm big brother, he little brother. That's what they were doing. When Charles Barkley's on there, they suck. But Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, really? It's television. Comes in all forms, shapes, and sizes. You do what you do and you find an audience that gravitates to it. First Take, dumb television. We start the conversation every morning. We've talked about crime. We've talked about racism. We've talked about all types of issues pertinent to the world of sports and beyond. We were dumb when we talked about domestic violence. We were dumb when we talked about crime. We were dumb when we talked about collective bargaining negotiations. The paucity of African Americans in head coaching or executive positions, or running backs just recently being ostracized the way that they are by the National Football League because you look at their birth certificate and regardless of their years of productivity and efficiency, just because their birth certificate says they're this certain age, they can't do X, Y, and Z. Colin Kaepernick, the national anthem, patriotism in the United States of America, or lack thereof, rights as American citizens constitutionally and beyond. We were dumb. Dumb television. Mad Dog Russo, a Hall of Fame radio host for 4 decades. Dumb. Ryan Clark, a Super Bowl champion. Marcus Swagoo Spears. Dan Orlovsky. Michael Irvin, Keyshawn Johnson. When he was there, because Michael Irvin and Keyshawn Johnson reportedly are going over to FS1. My brothers, nothing but love and the best for them. Dumb, really? That's what they were. Ladies and gentlemen, don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. See, folks want to complain about what they're not. And maybe some other network and some other shows are going to capitulate to all of this noise. Let me assure y'all right here, right now, First Take, we going to do what we do. I am the host, the co-host of the show. Molly is obviously the matriarch of the show and the host. But I am the co-host of the show. Damn it, don't mean to brag, I'm the star of the show. I'm also the executive producer of the show. And I'm telling y'all right now, we gonna do what we do. We ain't gonna capitulate to this nonsense with these folks talking about we can't healthily just debate feverishly, passionately, yet respectfully, entertaining and having fun and all of that stuff, that we can't sit up there and talk sports without somebody trying to act like they cerebral and bougie and above everybody else, looking down. We're not changing. You know why? Because we don't have to change, because we're versatile. Yes, we do raise our voices from time to time. Hell, I do it a lot. And sometimes I'm quiet, and sometimes I'm mellow, and sometimes I'm silent, and I just use my facial expressions and my body language to say what I want to say. Cracking jokes every day. Molly and everybody involved with the show, smiling and laughing and having a good time every day. It's the Entertainment, Sports, and Programming Network. We gonna do what we do, and we gonna have a damn good time doing it. And we ain't changing for nobody. As an aside, because again, I don't mean to bring up old news, but I just saw that from Dan Le Batard from July 17th, what he said, talking about having a conversation with me, and he would hope that it would not be performative. You know good, excuse me, respectfully, Dan Le Batard, you know good and fucking well, this is how I talk. Sometimes lower, sometimes higher, but I always talk like this. It ain't performative, it's me. It's insulting for you to imply that. And I'm sick and tired of being hit in the back with implications from somebody that's supposed to know me. But that's a story for another day. This is how I talk. You've known me for over 20 years. The people in the industry who have seen me, who have known me, who have been around me in press boxes or whatever, a lot of people I don't talk to at all. But when I do talk, I always talk the same. Sometimes the volume is higher or lower. But I speak the way that I speak. What do you mean performative? Like I'm trying to put on a show. I've talked to you on the phone when nobody's around or nobody's listening or nobody's watching. The exact same way. And you know it. This is the bullshit. Another network might capitulate to all of that. And I hope they don't. I love competition. Don't bother me at all. Makes the world go round. Let's get it on. But I can't stand the thought of anybody feeling the need to capitulate to such insignificant noise. Talking about folks out there in the blogosphere and beyond, talking about, oh, it's too much, it's too much, it's too much, it's too much. Why is it too much? Why do y'all have podcasts then? I'm talking to everybody out there. Most of these podcasts, y'all on the air whispering. Y'all ain't expressing any opinions. Everything that y'all talking about is cerebral and intellectual and far above, and it elevates the mind and the psyche of everyone everywhere. That's what we're talking about here. I guess Jerry Springer and Maury Povich never existed, huh? I guess the stuff we see all over reality TV never existed, huh? I guess the stuff that we see all over the world of podcasts never existed, huh? Y'all full of shit. But you came to the right place. Came to the right place. And I'm not going to be cussing that much because I really, really don't cuss a lot. But when people piss me off, I think it's necessary. And what pisses me off right now is the notion that somehow, some way, there needs to be a change in this industry because shows like First Take and Undisputed and Around the Horn and all of this other stuff. Oh, we bring it down television. We've been journalists. We've reported. I've had mega stars and all across the entertainment stratosphere come on First Take. By the way, Roger Goodell's coming on First Take soon. Coming on any of y'all shows. Rob Manfred, he's coming on my show soon too. What happened the last time he was on your show, Dan? You were the epitome of professionalism. It was a fantastic interview, by the way. You were absolutely sensational. But you were the epitome of professionalism. There was nothing personal that came oozing out of you as the paragon of virtue hovering over South Beach, disgusted at what was transpiring in the baseball landscape in Miami. It's unbelievable. Reading these stories, folks capitulating to this kind of noise. Shit, I ain't. I tell you that much. By the way, did you used to carry First Take up on your show every time, you had these segments? Did you used to plaster them on your show? So your audience could see it and watch it? I think that was you, Dan. I think that was you. The only reason I want to make sure everybody understands why I brought up the Dan Le Batard portion of it. That entire segment was not about him and what he said July 17th. I had never seen that particular clip. I had not seen it. And I believed I watched some of that show, but I missed that. I didn't see that part. That's number one. And number two, it coincided with what I wanted to say about all of these reports now that my man Michael Irvin and Keyshawn Johnson are going over to FS1 to join Skip Bayless. And everybody's talking about it's going to be a different kind of show and they're no longer doing the embrace debate mantra or whatever. I'm like, they do what they do. I'm going to do what I do. I've been blessed and fortunate enough. I didn't even ask for the damn title. But I am the executive producer of First Take. And I assure you, I'm going to do what I do. Ain't none of y'all stopping that. Let me be very clear. That's the reason. That whole segment was not about Dan Le Batard. I said what I had to say about it, but that segment was not as much about him as it is about sports debate television being blamed for what has transpired in the sports industry. I think it's disgusting that people are pointing the finger at that. People watch stuff for entertainment purposes. People watch stuff to be informed. People watch stuff because of interviews and things of that nature. We do it all. We're not one-dimensional or one-trick ponies. That's not who we are. So I just want to make sure I make that clear.